The Italians who settled in Brazos Valley concentrated on an area that's just a little outside of Bryan called Steel Store. Originally on the old Platts, it's called Mudville, rightfully so, because it's right there between the Little Brazos and the Brazos River, and there were no levees, back in the 1800s when they started coming over. But the situation in Sicily in particular was that the farmers were having a tough time, ranchers were having a tough time. There was a lot of poverty, there was a lot of crime. The miners who were mining sulfur found that America was shipping sulfur to Europe at a cheaper rate, so they were almost out of a job. And so for a lot of reasons, people began coming to this area, and the business people and farmers in this area were going to Italy and Sicily and handing out flyers, come work for us, we need workers, please come, we got, places for you to stay, and lots of opportunity. And so most of the families would send the husband, maybe some uncles or brothers. The men would come first. It was a 1-month journey by ship, and a lot of them came in through, of course, everybody knows about Ellis Island. My grandmother came in Boston. Others came in through Louisiana. New Orleans was a big port, and Galveston. And so those who came in from Galveston migrated to this area and became sharecroppers. They didn't have much money, and it was heck. It was tough. A lot of mosquitoes, a lot of rain and mud and flooding, and hence Mudville. And but anyway, they stuck it out. They were hard workers, and some of them were able to get enough money together that they could then buy land and became landowners. A lot of those families are still out there since the 1800s. And you can see the street signs. There's a street sign as you're driving down 60 on the way to Steel Store. And there's a very obvious street sign, Fazzino, and the Fazzino family still has property out there. Don Fazzino's been around here for a long, long time. But once the families got here, then they would send for the wives and the sisters and daughters and all. And they tended to stay in their little communities within the community. Those who were from Poggio Reale, that was the biggest group in Sicily, they kind of stayed together. And they wanted their daughters to marry within the family groups. And the same thing with those who came from Corleone and Sala Peruta. And it was very almost secular. And then, as the years went by, things, brightened up a bit. But at one time, Steel Store was the largest inland agrarian community in the nation. And that was in the late 1800s. Of course, all the big coastal cities, had huge amounts of, all the different cultures were coming in. But the Brazos Valley had that distinction. It was pretty amazing, because we look at that area now, and it's a lot of cotton fields, maybe some corn, a few oil wells out there, and but those families that stayed and contributed heavily to the economic development in Bryan-College Station, Brazos County. They were very dedicated to philanthropic endeavors and building schools, hospitals. They were involved, and they had the money to do it when they, with their successful farming.